This is how I made my dream mobile game. So, a little while ago I stumbled upon this game from Landfall Games called Haste: Broken Worlds, which I thought looked really fun. This inspired me to make my own fast-paced mobile game. Another game that inspired me was the one and only Slope. So my idea was to make a simple fast-paced game like Slope, but with a much more interesting environment like in Haste and other games like Sonic. So I opened up Unity and I added a ball and made it follow my finger. The only problem is that it's not very responsive. So I got inspired by this script from Dinosaur and now it's responsive. After that I made a move forward and now it just needs some obstacles, so I started modeling a tree in Blender. And I also modeled a palm tree. Then I realized this tree was ugly, so I made a new tree, and I think it looks pretty good. After that I made some more obstacles like a fence and a bush. For the rocks I just found some free ones on Unity's asset store. Next, we gotta make these platforms more interesting. So I opened Blender and I made a lot of different small platforms. I can then use these platforms as building blocks for small levels, which I made 40 of. Now in the game these levels will be spawned randomly after each other, so it makes an endless level. Now to be honest, the platforms kinda look like the ones in Sonic, but I don't think anyone notices. The game looks pretty good so far, so I decided to ask Reddit how I could improve the game and if they had any suggestions for a potential name for the game. Let's see what they answered. Sonic the Rip-Off Ball. Sonic the Ball Hawk. Sonic's Ball. So it looks like a lot of people think it looks way too much like Sonic. And maybe they're right. The game does kinda look like Sonic from a $1 store. And many people also pointed out that the yellow ball was way too boring and it would be much more interesting with an actual character. So that's what I decided to make. I didn't really know how the character should look, so I asked DALL-E and it created this. I then tried to make a character based on DALL-E's idea and this is what I came up with. And now I guess I'm copying Animal Crossing too. Great. I decided to scrap that idea and went to Pinterest for inspiration. After looking for inspiration, I got a new idea. I don't know why, but it's a radish mixed with a pumpkin, called the Ratkin, and I actually kinda like this one. I made it really easy to create new characters by using the same base for all of them. I just have to add the texture and the little thing on top. I decided to name these characters Rolos because, you know, they roll. Now to make the game look less like Sonic, I didn't really know what to do, so I just made the stone grey instead of brown. And I also added this swirl pattern to the grass because it looks cool. After all these changes, the game started to look like something. But there's still one thing missing, and that is, how should the game start? My first idea was that the ground could just rotate and then the player could roll down, but that's pretty boring. Then I thought the player could be launched by either a cannon or a catapult, but I couldn't really make any of these ideas work. So what I came up with was a springboard. On the menu screen I made a springboard that looks like a small platform, but when you tap the screen it launches your character through the air and the game is started. Another thing we need is a shop for the Rolos, and I thought we could fit that inside this place in the menu screen. So instead of it just being simple UI like most games, the shop is right over here. So when you tap on the shop button, the camera transitions to the shop. Pretty cool. So the game is close to being done, but it kinda lacks variety. You only roll and that's it. So I decided to add power-ups. When it comes to power-ups, we gotta have the magnet power-up. Instead of it just being a magnet, I thought it would fit the game well if all power-ups are fruit themed. So this one is called the Magmelon, a watermelon magnet. The next power-up I added is my favorite. It grows your character twice as big, and not only that, it also makes you able to knock over trees and obstacles. This reminded me of a rolling bowling ball, so I had to make the sound effect sound like an actual bowling pin. The next power-up I added was Boomberry. When you get this power-up, you can throw it, and when it hits something, it explodes all obstacles around it. The last power-up I added was Jumplum. This just makes the player bouncy. It's pretty fun. With all these things added, I thought it was about time to release the game. There's still a lot more to add to this game, so if you have any ideas, let me know. And if you want to try the game, it's out on the Play Store. It's called Roller Rush. Anyways, that was it for my first devlog. If you'd like to see more, give it a like, and I'll see you next time.